Police in Texas are searching for a man who's suspected of sexually assaulting at least 4 women near Dallas. What do they have in common? Each victim was in their 50s or 60s. They were all members of the same sorority when they were in college back in the day, Deltas. We're going to talk to a criminal profiler in just a second. Pat Brown is here. But first, to give us the latest update is Robbie Owens. She's with the CBS station, the CBS affiliate in the Dallas area. Hello, Robbie Owens.
Good morning, Gayle.
Good morning. I saw this story yesterday and I became so fascinated. Number one, it was so scary. I don't know, I would imagine it resonated with me because I'm a black woman in my mid-50s. I'm not a member of Delta or any other sorority, but it resonated with me that here's someone who is looking for women, whether it's black or white, who were in the same sorority years ago, but it's my understanding that none of the women know each other. Is that true?
Well, I asked investigators that question. They wouldn't confirm that for me. Of course, police know a lot more than they will ever release to the media. But as you well know, there are a large number of women active in the sororities alumni chapters. There are several in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
So I asked the investigator if these 4 women were active in the same alumni chapter, and he wouldn't tell me. But the police are confident that this is more than a coincidence.
No, and you know, I've been seeing video of the man that they say they're not calling him a suspect, but he is someone that they want to talk to. And he appears to be a younger person to me. You know, he doesn't seem to be someone who's in their 50s or 60s. What can you tell us about what is known about the man that they're looking for?
Well, police gave a very general description. They released that surveillance video last week. They say he's a very large, heavily built black man in his mid-25s to 30s. So as you said, he's a very young man. And as they released that surveillance video, they're hoping that something pronounced about his walk, his carriage, and again, he's very large, that someone will recognize something about this man and give them a call.
Yeah, when you see him in the video, you can tell. You know, Robbie, that somebody knows something. Somebody knows who this guy is. Somebody recognizes whether the clothes he was wearing, the size of the man. Somebody knows something. What is it like for the women in the area? What are they saying?
It's been very frightening, not only for the women who were active in sororities, who are active in their alumni chapters now, but also for their husbands, their friends. Clearly, these attacks are not coincidental, and it's just the predatory nature of them that I think has struck such a nerve in this community, that someone just didn't happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he appears to be hunting these women and hunting from this sorority, and that's very, very frightening.
Okay, Robbie, stand by for just a second, because Pat, when I saw this story, it was my idea. Because listen, number one, I love news stories, and I love going to local people because quite often they have more details than anybody else does because they're following every little niggly detail. But this story was so scary to me because A, it seems so normal that people would join a sorority, and you just don't think years later that it could come back to haunt you. Based on what you know about the case, because I know you've been following it, what does this person say to you, the type of person that he is?
Well, first of all, this is a sorority you can join after you graduate from college. They didn't have to be going there at the time and be when they're in their 20s. You can join the alumni later. So it's possible some of these women are just professional women who would like to do community service and want to be involved in this really great group, which does a lot of stuff. I've looked up their chapters information, and
they're known for their
help
community
the
service
children
work.
And young women, and so people join that as a professional thing. So these women may not have been in the sorority at the time they went to college.
Okay, so it might not have been people who were in their 20s.
Right, because
that now years later this person is coming back to haunt them.
Exactly, because one of the things we looked at is this guy doesn't look old enough to be going to college with these women. And when I first heard about it, that's what I thought. And then I'm looking at it going, okay, he would have been like 5.
No, it's so interesting because I thought, gosh, years later, I say I was in a sorority at 20s, and now in my mid-50s or 60s, there's somebody. But you're saying, Robbie, what do you know about that? Do you know if these women had joined the sorority when they were in their 20s, or are they women that just happened to join later in life? Do you know?
We don't know anything at all about the victims. We know where the attacks occurred. We know their approximate ages. And we also know that the attacks occurred at home. But as you just said, many women join in college, but others join after college. And there are a lot of women active in alumni chapters. There are probably half a dozen in the Dallas-Fort Worth area alone.
That's also interesting to me what you just said, that all of the victims were attacked in their homes?
At night.
At home at night. And see, Pat, that's very scary to me.
That is very scary.
That's somebody who's really has to go through a lot of work to find you.
Yes, and the first two, there's 4 attacks. They happened over about 11 months. The first 2 were in Plano. I had to look forever to find out where the first 2 were, because usually you start closer to your home, where you're more comfortable. And then the other 2 were a little bit further away. But they're all basically in the North Dallas area, not that far from where the sorority chapter is. So, first of all, I know this guy is local. He's definitely local. Why he's choosing these women is another question. There's 2 possibilities. One is he could have been maybe dating a woman who was part of this chapter, and she dumped him, and he's all ticked off because she was always talking about her sorority sisters, and they're all better than you, so whatever, and he's all mad about that. Some speculate because of the age, maybe his mother was in the sorority.
That's what I'm so thrown about. I'm so thrown that this guy in the picture appears to be much younger than the women that he is attacking.
Right. So, you know, but who knows? It may be just that when he's getting his list, they happen to be women who are in the 50s and 60s as opposed to maybe 40, because he could be 40. So maybe his girlfriend was 45 or something. There's another possibility. When I looked at where the chapter was in Dallas, it's on the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard there, and there's a lot of businesses right around it. Like there's a funeral parlor across the way, then there's a T-shirt shop, and there's the pizza place. He could be working there and watching people come and go from that particular location and spying on them. Or it could be, maybe he's even been to the place and they, talk to the women. Maybe they've come into his shop and he's gotten some issue about them. Oh, they always think they're so smart, they're so much better than me. Because, a lot of serial rapists and serial killers, they're not that stupid, but they don't usually achieve much in life. So sometimes when they even find themselves a girlfriend, they find themselves a girlfriend who's much better educated, has a much better job, and they use her because she takes care of him and pays the bills. Okay,
so, Robbie, what do you have to say about what Pat has just said?
Well, I wanted to clarify the issue of the chapters. She's referencing the Delta House that is on Martin Luther King Boulevard, which is a good distance from where these attacks occurred, and they are occurring in an area where there is a separate chapter operating. So again, there will be a half-dozen or more Delta Sigma Theta alumni chapters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The chapter that owns the house on MLK is a different chapter.
Got it. How could he get the personal information? The fact that he has personal information and is targeting these specific women makes it very, very frightening, because it clearly is not a random thing.
That's correct.
I'm trying to think what's going on with this guy.
Well, the question is how did he get hold of this information? Did he get some kind of a list? Was it through the internet? Was it through somebody he knew? How did he get a hold of this? And the one thing you can be sure of sometimes when you're looking at the victim group, you got women in the 50s and 60s, professional women, and most of them these days are living alone. And that's the problem. He knows he has a target for women living alone.
Robbie, hold on a sec, Pat. Robbie, do you have any indication if police are close to making an arrest? Are you hearing anything like that?
I spoke with investigators this morning. They would only tell me that an arrest has not been made. They couldn't tell me how many tips they've gotten from the release of that surveillance video, but they are also talking to members of the North Dallas alumni chapters. They're asking them questions like, has anyone had a laptop stolen in the past year? Have there been any break-ins at their houses or cars? Just looking for ways that this attacker may have obtained information on the sorority members, because we are also told by investigators that he said things to these women during the attacks that let them know that he knew things about them.
Yeah, it's very, very, very frightening to me. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you for bringing us up to date. Pat, always good to see you.
Thank you.
I'll be following the story. We may be calling you back.
Well, they got a psychopath out there. I hope some woman knows about this crazy psychopath who manipulates and hates women and is always right about everything and wants to get back at society, wants power and control, and that's why he's going and doing this. So something happened to him. He lost his girlfriend, he lost his job, something went wrong. So I hope somebody out there knows that.
Somebody knows something. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. When we come back, 3 things I'll bet you didn't know about the Big Easy, also known as New Orleans. New Orleans native Anthony Mackie has 3 things he wants you to know. We'll be right back.